Conor Benn has officially kicked off training for his long-awaited rematch with Chris Eubank Jr., and the stakes couldn't be higher. Their first clash left plenty of unfinished business, and now both men are out to prove a point, with pride, revenge, and legacy are all on the line. Benn is coming in hungrier than ever, while Eubank's confidence hasn't faded one bit. So who takes it this time when they run it back?
Do you feel like you wasted too much emotional energy in the build-up to the fight, and are you trying to stop that from happening this time?
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just here training hard, preparing to beat Chris Eubank systematically November 15th.
You talk about in the first fight the fact that you were emotional in it. You've always been someone to wear your heart on your sleeve, especially in your style. You want to change that slightly going into the rematch, but it's easier said than done when it's innate within you. How do you change that? How do you keep that emotion under cap?
It's not really. You got to look at my my whole career at 147 or 154 even. It's just discipline. That's all. It's not. It's just being in control of your emotions. I think my rage and anger consumed me in the first fight, which is why it was one hell of a fight, but which is why I wasn't content with the...
In newly surfaced footage, Conor Benn looks every bit the man on a mission, relentless, sharp, and downright ferocious. The clip shows him going all out in sparring, unleashing blistering combinations and thudding jabs that make you feel for his training partner, and whoever that poor soul is, they definitely deserve a raise. Every punch Benn throws carries intent, a reminder that this isn't just another camp, it's personal. With the rematch against Chris Eubank Jr. looming, Benn's intensity suggests he's not just training to win, he's training to make a statement, to erase doubts, and to leave no question about who the better fighter really is. And just when things seemed all business, Benn was asked if he had a message for Eubank, and that's when the calm cracked into a grin. He gave credit where it was due, saluting Eubank for taking the first one, and admitting they both brought the fight fans wanted. But beneath the respect was a clear warning. Benn's eyes said it before his words did, and this time, he's coming for payback. With a quiet confidence and a smirk that spoke volumes, he promised to flatten Eubank in the rematch before laughing it off and realizing he'd just said it live.
Can you give Eubank a message? You haven't come to each other yet.
I'm not doing this. Chris, I salute you, mate, and you know, well done for winning the first fight. It takes two to tango. We both delivered. We both done what we needed to do, and I'm gonna iron you out second time round. I forgot this is live.
Yeah, what a beautiful message, Gary, I think is what you said. What a beautiful message.
When reflecting on that first fight, Benn didn't sugarcoat a thing. He acknowledged that Eubank did what he had to, used his size, his weight, and found success late when Benn started to fade. But he refused to call it a robbery or make excuses. In his eyes, the loss came down to one thing, which is discipline. He admitted he let his emotions take over, lost focus when it mattered, and that opened the door for Eubank to steal momentum. Still, Benn made it clear he never felt outclassed. He was faster, sharper, and more accurate, just not composed enough to close the show. And now, heading into the rematch, he isn't worried about Eubank improving. He's focused on himself. As Benn put it, this fight isn't Eubank versus Benn anymore. It's Benn versus the version of himself that slipped up last time.
Think that he can be better in the rematch. My question is also, can you be better?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't really think about what he does or what he can do. You know, he used his tactics well, he used his weight, he used his size, and he come on strong in the later rounds because I felt like he knew he was losing the fight. And yeah, he done well, he done what he needed to do to win. Because ultimately, people saying it's a robbery, saying it's this, it wasn't a robbery, the better man won on the night. and that was due to my lack of discipline. Was I faster in there? Definitely. Was I more accurate in there? Did I look less vulnerable in there? I was up 30 seconds before the bell had gone either round. So when you sum it all up, you look at what went wrong there for me. My lack of discipline in my emotion. But ultimately, you listen, the better man won on the night. Do I think he can get better? No. Do I think he was great on the night? No. Do I think I let him into the fight because of myself? Yes. It's a me versus.
While Benn approaches the rematch as a battle with himself, Chris Eubank Jr. couldn't resist taking a few trademark shots once the People's Champ talk came up. With a smirk, he gave Benn a sarcastic pat on the back, saying he'd surprised him in their first fight and earned credit for stepping up. But that's where the compliments ended. In classic Eubank style, the tone flipped fast. He made it clear that in his eyes, Benn isn't a champion, and certainly not the People's Champion Eddie Hearn keeps painting him as. To Eubank, it's all smoke and mirrors, hype fed by a promoter who's more interested in headlines than honesty. He warned Benn that buying into that narrative will only make him look foolish, promising that once the bell rings, all the talk, all the hype, and all the false praise will crumble under the weight of reality.
The funny thing is, if you speak to this side of the table, Eddie Hearn will tell you, as he told the world after the fight, that Conor Benn is in fact the people's champ. I mean, wow, that is, that's incredible. Conor Benn, you did it, huh, kid? The people's champ. You know, one thing I know for sure is that, you know, Conor Benn, he put on a great fight. He went out there and he did what I did not expect him to do. But, you know, I'm going to tell you right here and now, you ain't no champ. And you most definitely ain't no people's champ, so get that out of your head. You keep letting Eddie Hearn blow smoke up your ass and you're going to end up being even more of an...
From there, Eubank's calm composure gave way to pure conviction. He tore into Benn's camp and promoter, accusing them of playing the heroes while operating like villains behind the scenes. In his eyes, they're no men of the people, just smooth talkers hiding behind fake smiles. Eubank claimed they bent every rule, cut every corner, and did everything possible to tilt the scales in their favor during the first fight. From shady clauses and questionable weigh-ins to biased officiating, he said the deck was stacked against him from the start. But this time, he promised, none of that will matter. The tone was cold, sharp, and personal. A man convinced he's been wronged and determined to make them pay for it in the ring.
Embarrassment than he is. These men are not men of the people. They are pretending. They're pretending to be the good guys. Wolves in sheep's clothing, if you will. They will do anything they can. They will screw over anybody they can. They will cut any corners. They will break any rules they can to try and get ahead. Ruthless, immoral, and without restraint. These men are. They did everything they could to try and destroy me in this last fight. Contract breaches, fines, rehydration clauses, sabotage weigh-in, biased commentary and refereeing.
Oh my God.
The list goes on.
On the other hand, experts too are weighing in, and former world champion Johnny Nelson believes this rematch could be Benn's moment of redemption. He praised both fighters for putting on a thrilling first bout, saying they delivered exactly what fans wanted to see. But Nelson noticed a crucial difference when the dust settled. Eubank looked completely drained, while Benn still had something left to give. That, he says, could be the deciding factor this time around. If the conditions are the same and Benn makes the right adjustments, Nelson is confident the momentum shifts his way. In his view, Benn's drive, discipline, and hunger to right the wrongs of the first fight might just fuel the perfect revenge story.
I think it's going to be revenge. I'm flipping. I think both fighters put on an amazing performance. I think both fighters were spot on. I think both fighters should be really proud of themselves. I think Chris Jr., he rinsed himself out when there was nothing left to give. Whereas I think I looked at Conor, I thought, you got something left to give. And so if he makes the adjustments, and if the conditions are exactly the same as they were for the contractual conditions are exactly the same as they were in the first place, I'm going Conor. I think Conor sees there's room for improvement.
Boxing analyst Logan Gary offered a similar take, breaking down what he sees as the key to Benn's redemption. In his eyes, the first fight got away from Conor not because of skill, but because of mindset. He fought with emotion, not calculation. Gary pointed out that in the later rounds, Eubank kept his composure, using volume and consistency to edge ahead, while Benn chased the knockout, swinging with bad intentions instead of working behind his fundamentals. He believes that Benn's team, led by Tony Sims, will be emphasizing control this time around, using the jab to draw reactions, feinting to create space, and picking his moments instead of forcing them. The hate, Gary says, needs to be replaced with focus, because when Benn fights smart, he's a completely different animal. For Gary, this rematch won't come down to brute strength or pride. It'll be about discipline, precision, and who can stay sharp when the heat turns up.
Mentally, he needs to go into this fight with a lot more focus and a lot less hate. Yeah? And that was indicative of the fight. In the last few rounds, Chris won on volume, and Conor was still trying to fuel him out there with one shot, fueled with hate. So we both know that, and Tony, I'm sure, will have said there's more shots needed. We heard that in between rounds.
Tony Sims,
Sims, more shots needed, more feints needed. Use that jab to create other opportunities rather than just trying to score with the jab, just touch him with a jab to get a reaction. They know what to do. This fight will be about who's much more clinical. Do I think Chris has got much more left in the tank at this level? I think the playing field is much more level than I thought it was going in. I had Chris winning within 8 rounds going in the first fight, and
Conor, that's not very nice, is it? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Come on, sit. Let's move over here.
Yeah, come sit this up.
Vidal Riley brought a more strategic, big-picture perspective to the table, framing the rematch as two very different missions for two very different men. For Eubank, he said, this stage of his career is about legacy and leverage, maximizing paydays and securing big fights while the spotlight's still bright. It's not desperation for money, but a calculated move to capitalize on a rivalry that still sells. For Benn, though, Riley sees a completely different story unfolding. This isn't about short-term gain, it's about the journey, the rebuild, and the bigger goal of becoming a legitimate world champion. Riley argued that Benn's decisions now will shape how long his career lasts, how he's remembered, and what kind of fighter he evolves into. In his view, this fight isn't just a rematch, it's a fork in the road, quick cash for one man, and lasting legacy for the other.
Conor Benn does have the chance to become a legitimate world champion and have a different phase to his career, to what he's had. Chris, it's about cash. That's what it's about. At this time, not that he's in need for cash, but everyone wants more. So if you can get 2 big money fights back to back against someone you know you're more than capable of beating, you've proven you can beat them, why not take it again? For Conor, it's about the long road, about the mileage, about how you're going to feel in a year's time, 2 years' time. Where do you want to go in your career? What do you see as the final picture? Loaded, or made the decisions to take me on the world champion route and still end up loaded?
Liam Smith, however, had a more cautionary take for Eubank Jr., warning that the weight and rehydration clauses could hit even harder this time around. He pointed out that Chris isn't the same fighter he once was. The years, the wear and tear, and the constant grind have started to show. From the strain of training camps to the visible mileage on his body, Smith believes those factors could tip the balance in Benn's favor. In his view, this rematch isn't just a rerun, it's a dangerous moment for Eubank, one where a younger, fresher, and hungrier Benn could catch him at just the wrong time.
Rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn, November 14th, 15th, I believe. If it's the same stipulations in terms of weight, rehydration clause, I'm seeing a lot of people think that could tip the scales in Conor's favour as Chris gets older, tighter at the weight. What's your read on it?
Regardless of the weight, I think I bring Conor into the fight more next time regardless. I think Chris is getting older and starting to look older, and I think that fight won't have done him any favours. I think that'll have put even more miles on the clock with Chris. Seeing Chris training with knee braces on, elbow braces, stuff like that. yeah, I give Conor a real.
Smith also backed Eddie Hearn's recent claim that Eubank's hunger might be fading, suggesting that Chris now sees the rematch more as a business move than a mission. He's already beaten Benn once for a massive payday, and from Smith's perspective, he's simply cashing in on doing it again. Still, Smith acknowledged that if Eubank shows up as sharp and disciplined as he did the first time, he has a clear route to victory. But there was a hint of doubt in his tone. He believes Eubank looks just a fight or two away from being past his peak, which could open the door for Benn to finally flip the script.
Chance next time.
Eddie said that he said even before the first fight, but sort of amplified now, that Chris's hunger's dwindling and Conor's still in that stage where, you know, he wants to take on the world. Would you think that's accurate? Do you think Chris has still got the same hunger as he did a few years ago?
I don't know. I just think Chris can look at, without knowing you're done, Chris will look at it like, I've just beat Conor, because he did beat Conor the first time round, you know, for millions, and I'll beat him again for even more money next time round, and I think that'll be Chris's you know, angle on it, and the when Chris is, you know, he's got that way about him. You know, we'll fight when I'm ready to fight, and that's why he's delayed it till November.
Is there a route for victory for Chris in that fight? If you were advising him, if you were coaching him, what would you go for?
If he turns up the same way he did last time, then there's a route to victory, because I think Conor outperformed last time. I think Conor performed very well for the Conor Benn, and Chris won the fight. So if Chris turns up like he did last time, then he's got a chance. But I thought Chris looked, like I said, 1 or 2 fights away from.
So with all that said, the experience of Eubank, the fire of Benn, and the questions surrounding both, it feels like this rematch has all the makings of something explosive. Will it finally deliver a clear, decisive winner this time around? Or are we in for another razor-close war that keeps the rivalry alive? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more fight breakdowns and updates.